Welcome to the Pulse with Peter B. I'm your host, Peter Biancamano. Let's get you to the pulse on everything you need to know. And today's episode is brought to you by Rumble Boxing Hoboken. Go visit our friends at 1202 Shipyard Lane and rumble at your own pace. And the person to my right hopefully won't rumble on camera today, but we're so glad to have her. She's making her Pulse premiere. And of course, that's Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez. So happy to have you on the show.
Hi, thank you so much. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. And we're here on a gorgeous day. There's my Jersey accent for us. In front of City Hall here in Jersey City. And Assemblywoman, you have been elected for just over a year now, about a year and a half, let's just say. And your accomplishments are just wide and far. I was just wondering if you want to tell the audience some of your accomplishments in your short time in the General Assembly.
Thank you so much. So as you mentioned, I've only been an Assemblywoman for maybe a year and 4 months, but who's counting? But before that, I've been an attorney for over 20 years of my life. So my career has been very varied. I worked with the Public Defender's Office. I was a contract attorney, and I represented juvenile defendants, as well as indigent people that needed help. I also was a managing attorney for Catholic Charities, so I did a lot of immigration law, a lot of asylum work. So it was kind of a very easy progression doing that type of work, really working with people that were marginalized and really needed help, to now become an Assemblywoman. And really how I became an Assemblywoman is I opened up an office here in Jersey City, and it was my task to let our office be known. And I started doing a bunch of Know Your Rights seminars, which I've been doing for my career. I was doing Know Your Rights for domestic violence, Know Your Rights for immigration cases, and the people that worked in the city started to get to know me. And Steve Fulop asked me to run.
Oh, that's terrific. And maybe he'll grace us with his presence today. We'll see. But Assemblywoman, you hit up on a lot of good points there.
Sure.
It looks like even starting your private career, you gave back to, public causes, let's just say. And what are you doing now? You're a very, very successful attorney. You're giving back to the people of the state of New Jersey that, you were inspired to do since, before you started your private career. Why is that?
Sure. It's really interesting because a lot of people now that I feel like I'm still, well, definitely when I started as an outsider, because I've never held a political office. I never worked for government. I worked for a nonprofit, Catholic Charities, and then always private work. So, but again, my whole life has been to public service, even though I wasn't working in the public sector. Right. So now I brought that to Trenton, and a lot of people always ask, like, what's your thing? Because I think that's maybe marketing 101 for an elected official to have a thing. But because I've been an attorney for 20 years, I have many things that interest me, and I brought that definitely to Trenton. I put out bills for prison reform. I've put out bills for sex assault victims because I represent a lot of victims of sex assault. I also am very interested in the environment, so I've put out great legislation for the environment. I'm on the Veterans Committee because I'm a sister of a 20-year-old Navy veteran.
Wow.
So I wanted to be on the Veterans Committee because as most, I'm Puerto Rican, and a lot of Puerto Ricans, they serve our country. So usually when you meet a Puerto Rican, their family is going to be filled with veterans. Right. And I love my work with the Veterans Committee. I have a lot of different interests, so I've definitely brought that to Trenton and to legislation, and not just one thing. I think that my thing, I've been thinking about this because I get this so much. My thing is really just trying to make people's lives a little bit better, especially people that grew up like me. I'm a mother of a 19-year-old son who I raised by myself. I came here when I was 8 years old, not speaking a word of English. I had to go through ESL classes. My parents were humble beginnings. My dad, we moved to South Jersey, so most of us worked in the casinos. I was a union worker because I worked in the casinos, Local 54. My dad worked in the casinos. Then he was a maintenance worker, also a union man. So a daughter of a union man, and also a union worker. And my mom also worked in the casinos, started out as a domestic worker, and she also worked her way to the up and became a secretary. So I really brought my whole life to the legislation and to the people that I serve.
Oh, that's great. Humble beginnings, and that's exactly
Mhm.
what we have. So, Assemblywoman, you know, the terms for General Assembly are obviously every 2 years,
Mhm.
and there is, I know, unfortunately for you, right? But there is an election coming up. The Democratic primary, of course, is Tuesday, June the 10th. You know, just a
Mhm.
few, about what, 6 weeks away or something like that. It's the time is certainly flying
Mhm.
to that election day. You've decided to run for re-election. You decided to give back to the community that you've been given so much since you came here at 8 years old. Um, why did you decide to run for re-election?
Well, because I think that your first year, and again, I've only been there for a year and 4 months, you're still trying to make your way, trying to make the connections, meeting all the different interest groups. And really, as a freshman, you're just getting your feet wet.
Right.
So I think that I definitely one of the reasons why I coming back is because I want to finish what I started
Mhm.
for sure. And I have so many other ideas because life is cyclical and I keep living life and I keep meeting people and I keep knocking on doors and other people give me ideas. I have a lot of my constituents that have given me ideas of things I never even thought about in my long life. So I want to keep that going. And also, I think that in this weird way, even though I feel like I've given so much throughout my whole life, it also gives me a sense of different purpose, not purpose, because I've always had purpose, but a different purpose of people that I would have never met, of ideas that I would have never came across my desk had I not have this position that I have. And I want to continue that, especially the bills that I have put forth that are so important to mankind, to people that are in really need, to people that are in poverty, to victims of sex assault, to veterans. If I don't go back to push them through, who else will?
Absolutely. And you spoke a lot about this, you fighting for the civil rights
Hmm.
of all New Jerseyans, especially in the district, which of course includes all of Hoboken
Hmm.
and a large portion of Jersey City, we
Hmm.
would say. Um, for the folks watching at home, what would you tell them that they can expect from you if you're lucky enough to be reelected to the General Assembly?
Well, definitely they could expect what I've been doing all my life, and all my life I've been bringing people to justice, really getting them justice, and that's what I want to do now as a legislator. Keep getting them justice, but now writing laws to protect them, not just having to fight laws, having to battle laws and protect them from unfair laws in the courtroom, but to really change laws that could affect everybody, not just my one client in a different county.
Mm.
And I want to continue to bring a different breath of fresh air because of the life that I've lived. Again, because I know I was again, humble beginnings and went to public schools myself, and we didn't have a lot of money, so I relied on a lot of the programs that the now administration is trying to cut. I'm a proud EOF student.
Mm.
I, even in law school, there was another program called the Leo program that is like an EOF program, that how I also got into law school. All these programs are so important. The free lunch. I took advantage of all those things. So again, that's still fighting for justice, and that's what I continue to do, and that's what I want to do, and will continue to do so for all the people in New Jersey.
Fantastic. Well, we are out of time, believe it or
Mhm.
not. Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Best of luck going forward, but I'm sure hopefully we'll see you on the show before in the next few weeks or so.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Exactly.
you for
Thank you
having
again.
me.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we will be right back. Peter Biancamano here, your hostess with the mostest of the Pulse with Peter B. Folks, don't forget to follow and like our Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok pages. We're constantly updating those platforms with cool stories and awesome reels. Also, you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we post all of our full shows, and you can also binge watch all of our previous episodes. And if you would like to contact us, feel free to reach out to our email address at thepulsewithpeterb@gmail.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome back. I'm your host with the most, Josh Sotomayor Einstein, on this segment of The Pulse with Peter B. And fortunately for this segment, I'm not joined by that bum Biancamano, but by my friend Frank DiCola, founder of a wonderful app called Charity Quest that helps people hook up with the nonprofits and volunteer. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me again.
So I don't know if I butchered what Charity Quest does or if I butchered your name, but how did you end up founding this wonderful app?
Well, mostly I just noticed that there was a real need in my community in Hoboken and Hudson County in general for not just a centralized directory of all of the volunteer opportunities near us, but a more organized way for volunteers to schedule themselves and reschedule themselves with those organizations. I found that it wasn't enough to know the email address of a charity or the phone number of a charity because they were often so overworked that it was hard for them to get back to all those volunteers. And so we essentially made it a platform that's a little more similar to something like OpenTable or Resi, except for volunteering, right? Just being able to easily schedule yourself in to volunteer and serve at the wonderful charities around Hudson County and now Northeast New Jersey.
Oh, so wait, how far geographically are we talking about that Charity Quest covers?
Yeah, so the densest area is definitely Hudson County with 32 organizations, but we've also spread to Union County, Bergen County, Passaic County, the Bronx, New York, and Staten Island.
Oh, very cool. I was born in New York, and for the first 2 years of my life, I lived in the Bronx before I decided I'm on my own to move to Bergen County. And then I told my parents. But that's wonderful that it's spread out so much. So how many nonprofits are hooked up into the system?
We're well past 50 at this point, which is wonderful. And our network also includes over 14,000 volunteers that are interested in those volunteer opportunities. So it might be working at your local food pantry, or it could be a behind the scenes role as a grant writer or a social media manager for these nonprofits. It's really whatever they're looking for. But yeah, the network has really grown a lot, and we're always interested in new regions, but we're also interested in reaching out to the charities that are already inside those regions who maybe have not adopted the platform yet, because it's totally free for them to sign up and create an account on our website.
So if I wanted to volunteer, how would I approach? I'd have to download it on my smartphone, or could I download it on my computer or go to a website? Or
you can use either one. A lot of our younger volunteers really prefer our mobile smartphone app, which is again a free app that shows you a map of your community. You can set your favorite neighborhoods. The map will always jump to that region, and you can see little bubbles on the map that show all the different charities in town and volunteer opportunities you can sign up. Some of our older volunteers prefer our website because you don't have to download anything. You just go to charityquest.io, make a free account, and that's your one-stop shopping for all sorts of volunteer opportunities in a nice, clean web interface. So it's really up to the volunteer.
Well, that's really cool, especially since I'm on the older side and I like to use a rotary phone. So I don't want to download apps, but if I had to download an app, gun to my head, this would be the app that I definitely download. So interesting. So when did you start the app?
Yeah, it was a bit of a COVID project, early COVID, and the very first organization to use it was June 4th, 2020, was the Hoboken Community Center Pantry for one of their food distributions, because they had begun to take over the COVID food distribution that the city of Hoboken was doing, and they kind of brought that into their operations. So it's really been a passion project since then. At this time, we're joined by more volunteers that want to help us, more freelancers as well, and we've recently had over 180 supporters come together and contribute more than $20,000 to continue the network in operation, but also to fund more quality of life improvements for the nonprofits that are using it as a management tool, and more quality of life improvements for the volunteers as well. So it's been a real labor of love these past few years, but now that we're getting larger, we have more funds at our disposal, and we've been able to do a lot more, which is great.
So if I go into the app or I go on the website, can I set what type of volunteering I want to do? Maybe if I have a particular skill. Not that I'm Liam Neeson, I'm not talking about that skill, but like you said before, with grant writing, or maybe I just want to help, make food for people that for a soup kitchen or something
Sure.
to that effect. Can I specify what I can do?
So that's a great question. Part of the reason I'm so excited about the money we've raised is because we're going to be able to work on a really critical update that I've wanted for a while, which is the skills and abilities update. And you'll see this with other volunteer networks. I really like this feature. So what we're going to have in the future is you'll be able to add on your volunteer profile your skills, your talents, even whether you have an SUV or a pickup truck or something that might benefit a charity. You could say, I speak Portuguese, I'm a web developer, I love doing social media, right? And then once that's in place, we're also working on a system that will let charities send targeted broadcasts just to people that match that skill set. So if you're just looking for people that have a pickup truck, or if you're just looking for people that have grant writing experience, you'll be able to just send them a message. Currently, the way charities do it is they go through me and they say, oh, Frank, can you send a newsletter out? And of course I'll do it. But as we're expanding more, I want to give more of these organizations the tools to do this on their own.
Wow, that sounds really, really fantastic, especially talking about, well, the whole thing sounds fantastic in terms of giving back and volunteering for the community, but also being able to match volunteers with a specific skill set to a nonprofit that has need of that skill set. Especially, when you're talking about grant writing, but also when you're talking about language, because there's a lot of people from all around the world that end up in New Jersey, and or maybe they came here with their family member that does speak English, but they're older abuela, or just an older member of the family that doesn't know English, and maybe they need a little assistance. So hooking up people with language speakers from that community that are bilingual actually sounds like it could be very, very helpful to nonprofits in our area. It sounds terrific.
Absolutely. Yeah, our most requested languages are definitely Spanish, Arabic, and Ukrainian Russian, right, in there as well. So that's typically what we see. A lot of our charities are looking for people to speak those languages.
Oh, it makes sense. I mean, we are a magnet for all those communities. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, I didn't even know that we had a significant Ukrainian population in actually Jersey City and Hudson County at large. But now that I've learned about some of their nonprofits, in addition to the larger nonprofit ecosphere in our area. And that's really fascinating. So if I am listening to this on the TV and the interwebs, and I hear about this wonderful app, and maybe I want to help support the app and help other people helping other people, how do I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can support our Kickstarter campaign. If you go to Charity Quest app on Instagram, that's our handle. You can follow us on Instagram, and you'll see links there that'll go to our Kickstarter campaign. We've already raised $20,000. You can become one of our backers. You can earn a lifetime subscription to the Volunteer Pro plan if you want, or just chip in a few bucks to help us with development. And we'd love to have you as one of our supporters.
That sounds terrific. Now, I know you had an event recently.
Yes.
Why don't you tell everybody what a great success that was?
That was a lot of fun. I mean, I have helped a ton of charities in the past 5 years with their fundraisers, but I had never really run one on my own. So it was quite a challenge. It was very exciting. We had a volunteer fundraising team that was excellent, that really pulled together and ran a great event. It was Mardi Gras themed. It was actually on Mardi Gras. And it was our Kickstarter launch party. So we raised probably $5,000 just that evening, which was exciting. And it was a great way to kick it off. Thank you, especially to Hoboken Grace, for letting us use that space entirely for free, which was wonderful. Obviously, when you're running a fundraiser, you want to save costs because you're trying to raise money, right? So that was excellent. It was really wonderful. We had over 80 people there that night. We might make that an annual tradition because it was a lot of fun. And it was wonderful. So that was back on March 4th. And now our campaign is still live on the internet. So you can always go to Kickstarter and search Charity Quest and you'll find it. And there's no deadline to join. So you could, whenever you hear this, you can become a backer.
So you can become a backer. You can volunteer.
Yes.
You can find nonprofits that are near you. It sounds like really, really amazing. I know I am going to go to the website. Maybe I'll even download the app. I think you have a convert out of me right here. But thank you so much for joining us. Really
Thanks for having me back.
We'll bring you on sometime again in the future. I hope you're willing to come on again.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Stay tuned out there in TV lands. We'll be right back.
Peter Biancamano back with you. Folks, we have a new television home. After being on cable access for so long, we are now strictly on streaming. So download the Surge Sports and Entertainment TV app on your Roku TV or your Amazon Fire TV and catch our new episodes every Sunday at 9 a.m. We will see you there. Welcome back to the Pulse with Peter B. Still here at the beautiful Jersey City City Hall. And the person to my right, as you can see, knows a lot about this place. And of course, that is Ward D Councilman Yousef Saleh. So great to have you back on the show.
Thank you, Peter. It's a pleasure to be back at the Pulse.
I mean, we love having you on, Councilman. And Councilman, the last time you were on, you were possibly discussing your re-election to Jersey City Councilman. But things have changed in the last, 6 weeks to 2 months or something like that? You have now thrown in your hat to run for District 32 State Assembly. I mean, what made you decide to run?
I didn't do it lightly, Peter. But my district needs me. All of Jersey City needs me. And as a loyal son of Jersey City, born and raised in the Heights, son of immigrants, one of 8, I have 7 sisters. We only had 1 bathroom growing up. And I went to the public schools here. We're facing a crisis in Jersey City when it comes to funding for public schools. And I'm a product of the public school systems from Head Start through law school in Jersey City. Okay? Wow. So I'm fighting for my people so that we can make sure that the next generation has a proper education and we send the elevator back to the next generation.
Absolutely. And just earlier in the show, folks, of course, we had Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez on, who's running for re-election with the fine gentleman sitting on my right, and not because he's wearing a dapper suit today. You know, Assemblywoman Ramirez, you know, she spoke about how she's came from humble beginnings, very similar to you,
Yeah.
and how that she's been fighting for a year and 4 months in the assembly. What do you think, now that you're running with the only incumbent that's running in this race,
Yeah.
what do you feel like your plans are going forward?
Listen, it's an honor to even run for state assembly with my running mate, Jessica Ramirez, 1B, 2B, by the way. And essentially, one of my plans, I have a lot of plans. We're going to fight for more school funding. We're going to fight for better public transit. I want a light rail on Kennedy Boulevard, and we're going to start with a fast bus transit lane, okay? We want to go down to the State House and pass a law that allows the buses to have cameras on both ends, so that if someone's in the bus lane from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., whatever the, rush hour is, they get a ticket sent to their house. And that's how you start it. You start off with a fast bus transit lane, and then you work your way to a light rail. There's no reason why we don't connect the whole county, in terms of public transit. We've done a lot with VIA here in Jersey City, and we've shown that we could actually build micro transit systems. We have over 600 bikes and 50, stations, docking stations here. So we need better transit, better public schools, lower taxes. Like, we're getting walloped out here. South Jersey is eating our lunch.
Wow. Why do you say that?
Listen, Jersey City, we put the state on our back, brother. Like, we are the economic driver for this state. The jobs, the population, the sales, everything, we're the economic drivers for the state of New Jersey. So we should be getting our money back. It doesn't make sense. Like, half your paycheck, a third of your paycheck goes to taxes, and then you pay taxes when you go to the store and buy a bag of chips, and there's only 25% chips left in there.
Right.
The eggs are costing so much, no one's throwing them at mischief night. It's just, it's unbelievable. The times we're living in. We have to make New Jersey affordable.
Yeah, and affordability is something that actually a person who's the mayor of Jersey City, Steve Fulop, who's now running for the Democratic nominee for governor, he's supporting you for assembly,
Yeah.
is talking about. He was the first one to come up with an affordability plan for the state of New Jersey when he announced his governor's race like 2 years ago or something like that. Obviously, you can't do this all by yourself. You spoke about your running mate, Jessica Ramirez, Assemblywoman Jessica Ramirez. How important is it to have a partner in Steve Fulop as the next governor?
We need Steve Fulop to become the next governor of New Jersey. We need to bring home the hummus to District 32. Okay, that's the important thing. I am of Palestinian American descent. Okay, the mayor is Jewish, grandson of Holocaust survivors, and Jessica Ramirez is a Puerto Rican assemblywoman, and she scratched and clawed her way to get to where she is. If that doesn't tell you the beauty and the essence of Jersey City, the diversity that makes us strong, that we're all coalescing despite our crazy diverse backgrounds, And I believe that once Governor Fulop wins the governorship and we win the assembly, we'll be able to bring home so much more to our district.
Yeah.
Because Hudson County has been left off the table because we're disunited, and it's time to bring the whole county together, bring the whole state together.
Yeah, and how important is it that you have this experience as a councilman? I mean, you know, you are the councilman in a very, very blue collar, hardworking section of Jersey City, the Heights. People from the Heights love being from the Heights, like yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, how important is it that you have this experience as a councilman in a blue collar area to kind of bring those skills to the State House?
Listen, I never expected to be a councilman, okay? I came in during COVID after the late Councilman Michael Youn passed away from the coronavirus, April 6, 2020. When you understand the job of councilman, you can see where the gaps are between the council and the state and how to fill those gaps. You know, when I had a homeless woman and her son, they didn't have a place to stay. It was 2 a.m. I called the state. They couldn't furnish a room for her. They couldn't help her. I ended up having to pay out of my own pocket to lodge her for the day.
Wow.
And you just see the gaps and the cracks, how people slip through, and despite everyone's best efforts. And that lived experience as a council person is going to help guide me when it comes to policy and the allocation of resources.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, and Councilman Saleh, you know, there is this divide in this country right now. You know, most likely, or not most likely, but definitely because of who's occupying the White House right now.
Yeah.
I mean, New Jersey is a fairly blue state, I would say, but you know, it's sort of shifted in the last presidential election, where Kamala Harris only won by 6 percentage points. I think Joe Biden won the state by 18 percentage points or 12, whatever it was. What do you have to say for, I guess, the general population of the state of New Jersey if you were elected to the state assembly?
The general population is looking for authenticity from their leaders. They're looking to people that essentially not just represent them, but do they understand our experience as a population?
Mm-hmm.
And there's only two real plausible choices here, Jessica and myself, that understand your experience, that came from nothing, okay, that never expected to be in politics. And the people are turned off because the Democrats, they haven't lived up to their words. They haven't allowed their deeds to speak for themselves, right? Like, they let the polls lead them instead of leading the polls. Like, sometimes leadership requires you to get people together and to agree on a certain thing instead of like letting the polls lead you and like they're always running scared. And like, no, we need bold leadership in the 21st century. We need Democrats that are going to change things up. And that's what I'm running on with
That's
Jessica
awesome.
Ramirez and Governor Fulop.
Absolutely. We have a little over 60 seconds left. Is there anything you want to tell the audience of why they should entrust you with their vote on Tuesday, January 10th, the Democratic primaries?
Legislative District 32, Jersey City and Hoboken. You've entrusted me to help guide the community through COVID. We've done amazing things together. Pay transparency, right to counsel. We've protected our native plants and we've made infrastructure improvements both in transportation and our parks and our streets. Entrust me and we're going to do so much more. We're going to have a catalyst effect down in Trenton.
Absolutely love it. Ward D Councilman Yousef Saleh, also a Democratic candidate for New Jersey District 32 Assembly. Best of luck. We hope to see you on a future show and, you know, have fun out there, buddy.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. All right, folks, join us next week for The Pulse on everything you need to know. I am Peter Biancamano. I hope you have a great week, everybody.